morning on Monday, the 24th of February 2025. It's 8 a.m. in the Gambia and therefore coffee time on West Coast Radio with me, Peter Gomez. On YouTube, our program is sponsored by Jar Oil.
In a world where progress never sleeps, one company stands out as the driving force behind infrastructure and energy solutions. Introducing our fuel company and cement producer, where excellence meets efficiency. Jar Oil. The company have 30 filling stations across the country that are all operating, which includes the recently completed Yarambamba and Old Yundum filling stations. And our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Along the years, Jar Oil introduces importation and distribution of cement in their line of business to diversify and strengthen their operations. Are you a cement retailer? At the moment, Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market. With a focus on sustainability and innovation, we are paving the way for a greener, stronger future. Trust in us to fuel your projects and lay the groundwork for success. We currently produce over 25,200,000 bags per year. As the largest cement producer in the country, Jar Oil also targets to export cement to the neighboring countries like Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, and others. Join us on our journey to shape a world where every drop of fuel and every bag of cement makes a difference. Together, we can build a brighter tomorrow.
My first set of guests is here to educate us on research ethics, what they are, why they are important, and how they are applied in scientific research, and also introduce to us the Gambia Research Ethics and Methodology Training Initiative, or GamREMTI. The panel comprises Dr. Thomas Senghor, investigator on the GamREMTI project and senior lecturer at the Nursing Department of the University of the Gambia, Tomilayo Felicity Omotosho, trainee in the GamREMTI postgraduate certificate program in health research, ethics, and methodology, and Seifo Singate, trainee in the GamREMTI postgraduate certificate program in health research, ethics, and methodology. Gentlemen and lady, welcome to the program. They usually say ladies first. So, Felicity, I am told I could just refer to you by. Welcome to West Coast Radio.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
All right. Dr. Senghor, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Singate?
Thank you, Peter.
Fantastic. So, tell me about GamREMTI. Or should we start with the doctor?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, doctor, over to you.
Yes, so good morning, Mr. Gomez, and thanks for having us in your studio today. Good morning to the listeners and those that will be viewing via your YouTube channel. Like you said, GamREMTI is Gambia Research Ethics and Methodology Training Initiative. And this is a 5-year funded project, and is funded by the National Institutes of Health in the United States. And the project is a collaboration between 3 institutions, two of them locally in the Gambia, which is the Medical Research Council, the Gambia, and also the University of the Gambia. They collaborating with the University of Maryland, Baltimore, in the U.S., to provide training in research ethics and methodology. And in addition to the training, they are also providing professional development. And one aspect of the professional development is a workshop. Yearly we conduct workshops, and this year also we are conducting another workshop. And that's in fact the reason why we are here, to create awareness on the workshop.
Okay. Yeah. And just before we get to talk about the workshop, I know that is important. Can we talk about the purpose of the program? Felicity?
Yes, starting off, because talking about the program, of course, before the program came up, the project, because the program is a derivative of the project. I think I'll leave, talking about mission and objectives, I'll leave that to Senghor to speak about. But speaking about the training program, which I'm a trainee and, of course, a recent graduate, it actually enlightens researchers, academic scholars, community members and leaders, and even graduate students on the principles that govern research undertaking research, particularly in a country like ours, the Gambia, where we know that research is ongoing, but then the ethical implications, the ethical principles that guide research, many may not be knowledgeable about. And that's one essence of this program. So as a trainee, I've been able to widen my horizon, I've been able to increase my knowledge, and in my professionalism when it comes to research ethics and methodology. So that's just about it, yeah.
And say for if one way to ask, and I will ask, what's the importance of research before we even talk about the ethics of research?
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. I think that question is very important. Research is very important because it comes up with findings and recommendations or solutions to problems that are affecting society, because people do research to come up with new ideas, new innovations, and new strategies to find solutions to problems affecting society. And this program is no different on that, because we all know Gambia is a very highly studied population. There are so many researches conducted in the Gambia on Gambian citizens. And most of times, people don't know what those researches are about, because they are not well consented, or the program is not well explained to them what is going to be their benefits. So this program is all about that, to enlighten people, to enlighten the studied population, to know their rights, and to be able to ask relevant questions: what benefits this program is, or those studies conducted on them, will bring to them.
And on the issue of benefits, Doctor, if you can just further expand on the impact or impacts of research on society and the lives of people.
Yeah, sure. Research really has a lot of impact on society and the lives of individuals. And I will take an example. If we look at a lot of the research that is being conducted here, particularly related to health, research is being conducted to find out what are some of the vaccines we can use to prevent individuals. So the outcomes of those research is what is going to benefit society. At least individuals will be able to, when they take those vaccines, they can be prevented from diseases. Research also brings a lot of innovation. We come up with a lot of products. If you look at the world today, we have moved so far from 100 years ago, all because of research. With the outputs of research, we are able to move so quickly in the world today. So research really has a lot of benefits.
Mm-hmm. We'll come back to maybe other questions about research, but of course you are building up to this workshop that is coming up. Importance of the workshop.
Yeah, the workshop is quite important. Like I said earlier, each year we conduct workshops, and we usually come up with teams. Each workshop has its own team. And this year, the theme is we are trying to look at, ethical considerations when we are communicating research to community members. And that is quite important. Many a times when we do research, we just go and involve participants, but there are a lot of ethical issues involved. One example I could take would be informed consent. When you are involving participants in research, you need to take their informed consent. And many researchers may just, usually there is a form, they will just give the participants the form to fill, and for them, they felt that they have taken consent, but that consent is not valid.
Yeah, I remember years past when, they were doing, TB trials and whatever.
Exactly,
you would just sign a form, as you say.
Exactly,
and then,
yeah.
So what's informed consent?
Yes, so informed consent has to do with three things. One has to be adequate disclosure. You need to disclose to the participants what the research is about. What are the objectives, the methods involved? What are also the risks and benefits to society, to the individuals that are participating? Now, the other aspect also has to do with comprehension. The individual that you are giving this information must have the capacity to comprehend that information you are giving them in such a way that they know what they are going into. And the third thing is to ensure that there is transparency. As a researcher, you need to be transparent. You need to tell the participants what is involved in that research. But many a time, some researchers, probably due to ignorance, some of them maybe they may feel that it might hinder their recruitment efforts. And as a result, they don't go through all of this process. So the importance of this workshop is that we are going to have an engagement with researchers, people, ethicists, research ethics committee members, to discuss with them how do we communicate some of these things with the community in such a way that we are not exploiting them. So those are some of the benefits of this workshop.
I want to pursue this transparency issue a bit further, because if somebody comes and says, well, okay, this was, if you say, well, you have to tell them what is involved. They come and tell me, well, we will draw your blood, we will test your blood for A, B, and C. Yeah. I think that's enough information, from a layman's point of view. But of course, you have other things in mind. What else should they tell the participant before they come on board fully?
On board, yeah. So, just telling the participants, I'm just going to take your blood, I'm going to, check for A, B, and C, it's not enough. Because there are also risks involved in probably taking that blood. That blood, once it is taken, there's a lot of information that can be taken from that blood, such as DNA and so many other things. And the individuals need to know how you need to manage that information. Because some of this information can fall into the wrong hands, into the hands of wrong individuals who can use it for the wrong purpose. So it goes beyond that. There are a lot of things that are involved which the participants need to know, which will, by getting that information, they'll be able to make informed decision as to should I participate in this research. Right. But it's not only looking at the risk, but also there are benefits to research. And we must also tell the participants, because most of the time the benefits weigh the risk. We can't say for every research, it's all about risk. There are also a lot of benefits which the participants also need to know.
I'm going to ask you to, to put on the other shoe rather than be the researcher. Be the participant. Or maybe I should throw this to your two trainees. Based on, the conversation I just had with the doctor, if a researcher were to come to you, for instance, Felicity, what questions would you want to ask?
Yes, thank you so much. Now, it depends on the kind of research we are looking at. And
let's assume it's a health research.
Of course, it's the health research, but health research have different diversifications. There are some health research that involves collection of biological samples, such as blood, sputum, and urine, and the rest of it. And there are some health research that do not involve such. So the kind of questions, for example, if I'm approached as a participant to engage in a research...
A potential participant.
A potential participant, yes. That's right. To engage in a research that has to do with collection of biological samples. One of the things I'll be asking, how will my samples be used? Will they be stored? Will they be used for secondary uses? Because it's not enough to just say, I'm going to draw your blood, I'm going to collect some samples from you. But then after collecting those samples, what next? Will they be stored? How long will they be stored? Will I have access? If, for example, as a potential participant, if I need my data, if I need some questions to be answered, because we've had, as a trainee on the program, we've had to analyze some case studies that involve this kind of researches, and participants wanted to know their results, but they were not given access to this result. Even their leaders asked for this result, but they were not given access to this result. So I want to know, as a potential participant, whenever I need this result, will I be given? Will I be consented to? Will I be given this result, or will my samples be used for a secondary purpose? Will my samples be stored, and where will it be stored? Locally, where I am, where they found me, or internationally, abroad? So all of these things are really important. Again, will my personal data, will it be confidential? That's on that thing again. It's not, because it's not enough to see, because we've had issues we've learned about research, ethical research issues in the past that involved genetic information being shared and just being published without the consent of the participants. Participants never knew that this kind of information about them will be published. So these are the things that must be taken into consideration.
And Singate, what additional questions might you have?
I think we would just want to encourage people with regards to the workshop that is coming, like highlighted by Dr. Thomas, for the public, the researchers, graduate students, healthcare professionals, people that are engaged in research or interested in research ethics, to come and participate to learn more about research and research ethics. Because research is important, but considering looking at the ethical principles of research is also very crucial. So we would encourage people to come and participate in this workshop to learn more on research ethics.
Doctor, let's talk about the objectives of the workshop. Or maybe you also have additional questions you would ask, different from what we had from Felicity? Because I'm just learning that actually, a sample might be drawn from you today for the purpose of looking for A, B, and C, when maybe a few years down the line they can come to the same sample to look for something else.
Yeah, so sometimes that is done But we are not saying that that's a bad thing in any case. But you need to get the consent of the participants, the individual you are, because
and full disclosure.
Full disclosure, of course, because participants, they are volunteering their information, they are volunteering their samples. So you need to treat them in the way and manner in which they would like them to be treated.
Okay.
So those are important things to really consider.
Workshop objectives. Let's talk about the workshop now, because that's what we're here to
market.
Exactly,
yeah. So like I was saying earlier, the theme for this workshop, this upcoming workshop, it's ethical considerations when we are communicating research with the community. And the objectives of this is to ensure that, researchers or investigators are able to communicate research with consideration, with ethical considerations. I mean, from the conceptualization of the research right through to the results, or when we are ready with the research. This is quite important, because if you look at the history of research, participants have been exploited. And the reason why they have been exploited is because, in one way, is that they are not very knowledgeable when it comes to research. And the researchers usually tend to have more knowledge. So there's a risk that they can coerce the participants to join the research just because the participants do not have that adequate knowledge. So we need to have this conversation with investigators, researchers, but also community members also need to be aware. What are some of the ethical issues involved in research? How can we communicate with researchers? And the researchers also, how can they communicate with the community in such a way that it will be something mutual? Not necessarily, well, I want to do a research, I just come and take data in any way and just go. Even community members also need to benefit from the outputs of the research. Because, for most of the research that we'll do, it usually will benefit society in general, but at least we must ensure that the process of doing the research, the participants also benefit, or the community benefit. So this research is we're going to have this conversation. How can we ethically communicate research? I also give an example, particularly in our own context. When we do research, sometimes we don't pay attention to the cultural values of the participants. And sometimes we disregard them. And that can create disrespect, that can create distrust. So we want to have that conversation and also ensure that researchers know how they need to communicate some of these things to the research participants.
Okay, what are the dates for the workshop?
Yeah, so the dates is going to be 11th and 12th of March, and it's going to be at Paradise Suites Hotel. And the event will start from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on both days.
In a world where progress never sleeps, one company stands out as the driving force behind infrastructure and energy solutions. Introducing our fuel company and cement producer, where excellence meets efficiency. Jar Oil. The company have 30 filling stations across the country that are all operating, which includes the recently completed Yarambamba and Old Yundum filling stations. And our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Along the years, Jar Oil introduces importation and distribution of cement in their line of business to diversify and strengthen their operations. Are you a cement retailer? At the moment, Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market. With a focus on sustainability and innovation, we are paving the way for a greener, stronger future. Trust in us to fuel your projects and lay the groundwork for success. We currently produce over 25,200,000 bags per year. As the largest cement producer in the country, Jar Oil also targets to export cement to the neighboring countries like Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, and others. Join us on our journey to shape a world where every drop of fuel and every bag of cement makes a difference. Together, we can build a brighter tomorrow.
I hear you talk about community. What it sometimes takes, to involve communities. How much work has started in that area to sensitize people in their own localities about the importance of this workshop so that they can come. And sometimes, people just don't move because you want them to move.
Sure.
It takes something, if you know what I mean,
Yeah,
to
sure.
make them move. So
Sure.
have you put all that into consideration? This is all part of the funding now.
Yes. That's true. It's difficult to move people, like you said, but we are doing our best to ensure that we move people to Paradise Suites Hotel on that particular day. And one of which is through this sensitization we are doing. We've also put out advertisements that will be on the newspapers and also the radio. But for community members, usually we want to get them as far as Basse, because a lot of research is done across this country, and we want to get individuals,
especially in the rural areas when it comes to health issues.
Yes. So this is why we are using these modes of communication. We're using the radio to ensure that it reaches those individuals. Yeah, and most of the time we tend to have some form of, a little bit of compensation for those that are coming way far away, in terms of reimbursing them for their transport, at least to encourage them. We are not doing it just because we want them in, but just to encourage them to come, because at the end of the day, this is going to benefit the entire country. Yeah.
And, how can people, sign up to take part in the workshop?
Yes, we already have a flyer. But this flyer can be accessed on our website, and that's GamREMTI.gm. Just log in, get to that website, GamREMTI.gm. So we have our flyer there, and you just need to scan the QR code or click the registration link to register for the workshop.
So, Singate, this is a workshop for only the educated. I mean, you talk about community, and usually people who take part in research are usually people who have not been to school.
Yes, that is very true. Most at times the subjects of research are people that are not very literate. But this workshop is open to all of them, to everybody. Because
so how could those people now, register to take part if they can't, write their name or even read and understand instructions? Yes.
Yes, because as a program manager of this project as well, I'm a trainee on the program, but I'm also the program manager for the University of the Gambia. Okay. So in that case now, when we have participants who can't read or write, we have a provision for them on the day of the workshop. They can come in, and we have registration sheets where they can write their names or they can thumbprint. That provision is made available.
Doctor, let me come back to you. How do you think GamREMTI can contribute to ethical research practices in the Gambia?
Yeah. So the program, like I said, has been in existence since 2002. And
that's a long time, but how many people know about it?
2022.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, that was a mistake. It's a slip of the tongue. Yeah. So, and during this period, we have had a certificate program, which we are currently running. And these two are from that program. Felicity is part of the first cohort, and C4 is in this second and current cohort. And because these are people that are coming from various institutions, we also want to get individuals that are already employed at these various institutions, and we train them so that when they go back, they can implement some of these things. So that's one way of ensuring that we build capacity. The other way is also creating awareness, among researchers, but also within the community. And that's through these workshops that we are conducting. So each year we are conducting workshops, and we, invite a diverse group of individuals from various fields of work related to research. And that way we can raise the awareness, both for the investigators, but also the community, because these are the two individuals that are involved when it comes to research. Also, we create mentorship programs for our trainees. We have collaboration with also institutions within the West African sub-region, and we pair them with these experts so that they can also mentor them even after they have finished the program, so that they'll be able to implement some of these things within their institutions. So that way we'll be able to create a lot of awareness within the country, and essentially that will improve the research ethics landscape in the country.
We don't have much time left, about 7 minutes, 8 at most. What about the facilitation and the training? Who's going to deliver the training on the dates mentioned already. Yes.
Yeah. So we have a group of experts within the GamREMTI investigation team. We are going to have presenters from there. But in addition also, we are going to have some of our scholars also, because like I said, we are trying to build their capacity in leadership, presentations and things of that nature. So they are also going to be given the opportunity to present. And in addition to that, we have also invited some experts. We've invited the Ministry of Health. We're going to have a presenter from there. Also the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology also will be invited, because these are also our partners. We are all in it when it comes to research. We also have others from the MRC, you need the Gambia, and all of these, would be presenters. These are experts within the field. So it's really going to be a very interesting and engaging workshop. I encourage participants to really register and be there on the day.
I know we've been talking about some of the ethical challenges, but what about general, challenges, whether it's getting, participants in research activities or whatever? I mean, what challenges do you have outside, the ethical research challenges themselves?
Yeah, there are a lot of challenges conducting research also, particularly in this environment. And one major challenge is funding. Research is really expensive. Conducting research is expensive. So getting funding is...
And who until now were your major funders? I hope not institutions in the U.S., given what Trump just, did about foreign aid.
Exactly. So, we are at risk when we are relying only on foreign funders. And that's why I think we need to encourage our governments also to invest in research, put aside some money for research. Unfortunately, we still have not gotten to that stage, but we think maybe...
So until now, all your funding has come from outside?
From outside, yes, has come from outside.
That's not sustainable, is it?
Well, it's not sustainable, obviously, looking at the political dynamics in the world nowadays, so it's not really sustainable. So we need to think of innovative, sustainable ways that will be able to continue to do research, because if we don't involve in research, then I think we are doomed.
Yeah. Everything seems to be done for free in this country. Huh? You organize a workshop. Instead, you are thinking of, incentivizing people with money to come and take part instead of actually taking money from them. I mean, you've traveled, I'm sure.
Sure.
As part of you paid for every aspect of your training.
Every aspect, of course, of my training I've paid, So we are not really giving incentive to all the participants. We just make consideration for those that are coming afar, because some of the individuals will be within. And I think that's a culture that we also need to try and, minimize.
People have to pay for training.
Exactly. I mean, education. I mean, it's all over
cannot
the world.
Be free.
People have to pay for training. But in Gambia, it's the other way around. Although we understand that people have some of these financial challenges, but we need to, put in something small.
Absolutely.
For us to really move forward.
Okay. So apart from finances, what other challenges might you have?
Yeah, the other challenges can also be recruiting participants. And that's the reason why we are having, research ethics, this discussion. Because many a times participants distrust researchers. There's a distrust between participants and researchers. And when that happens, then it becomes difficult for you to recruit participants for research.
And why is that distrust? Information gap or what?
Yes, information gap and misinformation. Okay. These are some of the things. For example, when people conduct research and they want to collect blood, there's a notion that people are, the researchers are going to sell the blood. Obviously, we don't sell any blood. The amount of blood that we even take is so minute that, I don't think there's anybody who can sell that to. Okay. So these are some of the, there are a lot of misinformation.
They can just assume that if they take minute from 1,000 people, then they have something.
Yes, but you realize that all those minute, you don't put them together. Because once you do that, then you can't do the research. Because every individual have something unique in them, and that's what you are looking for.
Absolutely.
So if you put everything together, but like you said, from the, common man's, way of thinking perspective, they might think that way. But I think there is information gap, and nowadays there's a lot of misinformation out there based on, social media and a lot of things. And what we are doing is to try to, bridge that gap in terms of information.
And in the 2 minutes remaining, just maybe to remind people, Felicity and Singate, about what you are building up to.
Yes, I'm just going to echo what Dr. Thumos has said, just to encourage our listeners out there to try to participate in the workshop. And speaking about one of the benefits is all participants will be given a certificate of participation at the end of the workshop. And again, the workshop is also an avenue whereby we also, the program recruits trainees into its training program. So these are some of the benefits. So anyone who comes, who attends and is able to attend even the 2-day, definitely their professional knowledge will be increased. They'll be able to widen the horizon, and there'll be even be room to ask questions and, of course, receive answers. And again, we'll be expecting a keynote speaker, one of our regional consultants, will be speaking to us and on the topics related to community engagement. So these are some of the benefits of this workshop.
And Singate?
Yes, we encourage all those that are interested in research, because this workshop is a learning forum for everybody that is interested in research to come and learn something on research ethics. So if you are interested to be a researcher in the future, or to be a researcher in your institution to conduct research, we encourage you to come and participate in this, because you will learn a lot and there is a lot to gain from the workshop.
And I think I would like to mention the email in case anyone wants to reach us. You can reach us at gamremti.utg.edu.gm. gamremti@utg.edu.gm, pardon me. gamremti@utg.edu.gm.
Fantastic.
That's our email address.
Thank you very much. Dr. Senghor, thank you so very much. Felicity and Sefo, thanks so much. And Dr. Thomas Senghor is the investigator on the GamREMTI project and senior lecturer at the nursing department of the University of the Gambia. Tomilayo Felicity Omotosho is a trainee in the GamREMTI postgraduate certificate program in health research, ethics and methodology. And Sefo Singate, I hear Sefo, trainee in the GamREMTI postgraduate certificate program in health research, ethics and methodology. It's coffee time with Peter Gomez.